Hey, what's going on, fly girls and fly guys? So today we're going to be tying on a Prince nymph, and in the vise I have a size 14 nymph hook with a gold tungsten bead. And before we get started, I'm just going to put on some music here, some inspiration, and I'm actually going to weight this fly. I'm going to put on some 0.015 lead-free wire. And I'm just going to do about 9 or 10 wraps. And then I'm going to leave that in there to kind of lock in the bead. And then I want to nip that off as close as possible. This stuff can be a pain sometimes. Some days I'm awesome at it, and days like today I'm pretty bad at it. So there we go. For the thread, I'm actually going to be using a nano silk from Semperfly, simply because this is one of those flies you want to be careful with the amount of wraps you put in, considering the amount of materials we're going to be putting in. So I'm going to start this off just behind the wire here, and just get that to stop, get that lead free wire to stop moving around on you. And then I'm going to build up a little dam to give a nice tapered body. Then a few wraps on the lead wire just to sort of lock it in place. And I'm going to work my way back down towards the bend where we're going to tie in our tail. What I'm doing here is just building up a little ball of thread to help splay out my tail a bit. I like my tails really splayed out on the prints. Alright, for the tail, we're going to be using some brown goose biots, and I'm just going to find a couple fairly thick strands. There are ways to tie these in simultaneously. I'm really bad at it, so I do one at a time. So I get that in place. I'll do 2 or 3 light turns so I can get the biot in position and at a length I like. And then I'll give her a tug to just sort of really lock it in. And now I'm going to tie in the other side here. Then I'm really going to secure these biots in. They take a lot of damage when you're on the water. Then I'll come in here and nip off the ends. And now for the ribbing, I'm going to be putting in some medium gold wire. And I kind of like to tie my wire on the underbody of the fly. That gives it a nice tapered look to it. So you can see that lead wire sticking out there, but we'll cover it up. Now we're ready to tie in the body. For that I'm going to be using some peacock hurl, and for the size 14 I like to get two sort of healthy looking strands. You can get away with one if they're really good. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm actually going to, the tips of this peacock hurl specifically is, they're kind of thin and brittle. So I'll cut off about a quarter of it so that I get to some more of the thicker stems. So that way when I'm tying it in, they don't break off as I start to wrap. And I'll just tie those in there. Now you can see I'm actually intentionally not wrapping close to the bead, because as we get closer and we tie in more materials, I'm going to need that room there. And now what I like to do is I actually like to give it the peacock hurl a little twist. Gives it some durability. I also think it makes the body look nice. And then I'm going to start my wraps. That first wrap is really important. The rest will lay down in place if you get that first wrap nice. I'm going to get fairly close to the bead here. Get a nice securing wrap in there, a couple in the front, a couple behind. And then I'll come in here and nip off the ends. And now I'm ready to tie on my ribbing. For that I'm going to actually counter wrap it. Because this stuff is so brittle, the counter wrap helps make it a bit more durable. And just keeping that thread tension We can then helicopter this out. Now we're going to be ready for our legs. For that, I'm going to be using some partridge. It's a nice feather, very delicate. And then what I like to do is just sort of strip down the parts I'm going to use. Like a little, I guess, triangular shape that I'm going to tie in. So just to show you what I'm doing is I'm just splaying back, getting that tip ready. And these are going to be your actual legs. So I'm just going to flip that over now, and I'm going to tie in that tip. Once you got it nice and secure, you can come in and nip off that tip. Okay, and then once you have that, grab your hackle pliers, grab that stem, and now as you start to wrap, you want to just sort of see how it folds over, and if it's not being cooperative, you can kind of manipulate the stem over here so that that first wrap happens nicely. And then I'm actually just gonna coax these fibers back. And I think that looks like enough legs. I'm just gonna lock in that. So a couple in the front, couple in the back. And then once that's in place, you can nip off that stem. So now at this time what I like to do is, because we're going to tie on the horns still, I'm actually going to just kind of coax these fibers to the side. And then while holding them down, I'll give a few wraps to splay them so that they go back and not so much up and down, because I want them to go that way. Okay. Now these top fibers, if you want, you can get rid of them. I like my horns nice and flush, so I clean off the top of the fly there like that. Now we're ready for our horns. The last material we're going to be using. For that, I'm going to be using some white goose biot. I'm very particular with my horns. If I were to choose these bottom ones, you can see how thick they are. And if I put those down, it's going to look kind of weird. So I'm actually going to search for some thinner ones. And I think I got two here that I like. Now, if you've ever fished with prince nymphs, they are notorious for the horns falling off because they're so hard to tie in nicely. So a lot of people will just tie them in like this on a crisscross, and all you have is this little bit of material. So once I have it measured out, I'll actually tie them in backwards. Well, not backwards, just the opposite end. And I'll show you what I mean here, because this can be a little confusing and hard to explain. So I've actually put them this way. And what I'll do is I'll tie it in like this. And so I'll just give a couple light wraps. Get them to size. Get them at an angle I like. And then what you can also do is you can actually, what we're going to do is flip them. So I'll flip them and make sure that they're not too long. So those are too long. So I'll just slide them back. It's a little more tedious, but I find it makes the horns a lot more secure. So those are good. So now that I have them in there, I'll hold it in, and now I'll start giving one or two really good securing wraps. And then I'll come in here and I'll nip these ends off, but not too close to the thread. See, I left a little bit of the butts there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip these right over. Like so. And now with my wraps, I'm actually going to put them in and really lock them in. And now we can start considering the collar. Alright. Now we're ready for our whip finish. It's going to give a 1, 2, 3 turns. And then nip off that end. Now I always like to come in and just give it a spot check. Those legs are a little longer than I like, but it will fish. And that, my friends, is a size 14 prince. Thanks for watching. Hope you tune into the next video. Cheers.